Okay. I have kind of a sensitive and difficult question to ask YouTube. And I'm hoping all you YouTubers out there will be very mature about this and will be able to have an adult discussion. And if you're watching this and you have any children watching, you may want to wait until later or tell them to go do something or put on some headphones or something. Because I'm going to be talking about a psychosexual phenomenon that I don't understand. I want to know why some women, maybe a lot of women, have rape fantasies. And I'm not talking about fantasies in which they are rapists. I'm talking about fantasies in which they are victims of rape. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, women do not have rape fantasies. That's men. Men have rape fantasies and they project this onto women and whatnot. But that's just not true. And as a side note, I understand biologically, anthropologically, why women are attracted to bad boy types. I understand that. And I'm going to assume that whoever's watching this video also understands that. I'm talking specifically about rape. This question began for me when I was a teenager. And one of my sisters had brought home a stack of books from the library. She'd just kind of gone through and grabbed some that she liked the covers and whatnot. And she had a large stack. Some of them were westerns and some were mysteries and some were romance novels. So she set them down on this table. And one of the romance novels fell off the stack. And it was fairly thick. A fairly thick romance novel. And it opened very cleanly to a particular page. So I knew it had been opened to that page a lot. And being a teenage boy, I was going to pick it up and read that and give my sister a hard time with it. Because that's what teenage boys do. You give your sister a hard time. All in good fun, right? So I picked it up and I started to read it. And it was, as I expected, a sexual scene. But it was a rape scene. And it wasn't treated by the author as one would expect a rape scene in women's literature. It was like, the woman is saying, oh no, Lord so-and-so, or whatever. Oh no, Lord so-and-so, my father won't accept you if you do this. Please don't. And, Lord so-and-so is like, oh, I will have you. And he's tearing off her clothes and holding her down and having sex with her. And she's objecting the whole time, but she's also liking it. She's saying no, and she's thinking, oh yes. And I could not believe it. That passed. That was a long time ago. I was a teenager. I hadn't even thought about it for years. Until, several months ago was the first time I ever heard of 50 Shades of Grey. Now, I will admit, I've never read any of the book. And normally it's really irritating to me when people make comments about books, literature, whatever, that they've never read. But in this case, because I'm not talking about it specifically, I am going to make commentary based on what I have heard and what I understand. And I know that if I call 50 Shades of Grey a rape fantasy for women, I'm going to get objections to that. They're going to say, oh no, it's consensual, so it's not rape. So I'm just going to address that. From what I have heard, this is the basic plot. There is a young woman and an older man. I think the young woman was supposed to be a virgin, but I'm not sure. There is a power imbalance between them because she's young and inexperienced and he's older and a billionaire, I think. And there's a lot of sex between them in which he causes her pain. A lot of pain. Physical pain. He hurts her while they are having sex. Now, she's supposed to consent to this. But I think it's fair to say the consent aspect is a cover. It is a cover to make it seem like it's not a rape fantasy when it really is. But I won't call it a rape fantasy, just to end that argument, and I will say it is a fantasy involving sexual violence against a woman. It is a fantasy written by a woman, for women, popularized by women, read by millions of women, about sexual violence against a woman in sexual encounters with a man who is, where there's a great power imbalance. I don't understand this. I was surprised that first time I saw in that book, which apparently, from what I understand, scenes like that are not incredibly uncommon in romance novels. I do not know how often they happen, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I've been told, they do occur occasionally. But I don't understand it. I don't understand why. I don't understand what would be the evolutionary purpose. I am a big believer in evolutionary psychology. I don't know what would be the evolutionary purpose in a woman fantasizing about rape, about being sexually abused and exploited in that way. I don't understand that. And I also am boggled by how extensive it apparently is. Fortunately, it's not all women. But there are apparently a lot of them. Whoever you are watching, does that bother you too? Bye.